Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding a proposed online message board for City Council to utilize. And I have Councilor Saum as the lead on this.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, so this is a proposal I've brought up, I think, previously, and something, a tool that I think can help. This was created by the Texas Legislature back in 2013. It was in addition to the Texas Open Meetings Act, as then Senator Kirk Watson, now Mayor Kirk Watson again, had said at the time that this was to kind of help as a tool to protect the city council member, not city council only, but any elected official underneath the Texas Open Meetings Act, so that you aren't breaking what people consider a walking quorum. It's an opportunity on an online discussion board. It's well prescribed within the Open Meetings Act of how it has to be. It has to be posted on the website. It can't be more than, a click away from the page of where city council is. The concept is that we can openly discuss city business and public policy without breaking the Open Meetings Act. All of us could be communicating on there. We could be sharing. If Councilor Prince had got this done and he didn't think it was going to make it in the packet, he could have put this on the online discussion board. We all could have went through, asked our questions, discussed it. I think that democracy does better when we are in discourse and we are talking about these things. The other benefit of the online discussion board is that it is a closed discussion board. It is only to council members and sometimes approved staff. The one that I was proposing to try to make it easier on our staff was to start out with a program where it would just be us. If I could share my screen, I was going to show you, because sometimes I think it's easier for people to see it. This is commonly used by some other cities, especially here locally. The city of Austin uses it. So does Travis County Commissioner's Court, Rolling Wood. I've been in contact with all of them. They've discussed with me. Let's see where I'm at. Here we go. Discussed with me sort of implementation, and I think there was a concern that it could possibly be, staff intensive. They've each told me that it really wasn't. It depends on the program that you choose. As you can see here, we're in the city of Rolling Wood. This is just an example of how we would go to it. So here's your city council page. It has to be one click away. So if you see down here, I click on the city council message board, and then I'm on it, and then you click in there, and you can see different topics and categories for folks. Rolling Wood not using theirs as much. That's the other key part is, it's only as good as the council members that use it. I do understand that there may be council members here who don't have an interest in it, but I think that this is a tool that future councils could also benefit from. I think we are growingly more and more tech savvy. I think that if there are those here that won't use it, I do think that future ones will. I know that I will, and I would encourage others to do it. Here on the Travis County Commissioner's Court, they get some good usage of it as well. Here's their online message board. They're not very complex. I mean, this is kind of 1990s technology in a lot of them. This is an old online board, and you literally come in here and you're a commissioner. You want to put something in here on the healthcare and housing, not handcuffs. You'll see commissioners can come in here. This was it Commissioner Ann? She just came in here speaking directly to her colleagues. I think I see the best on the city of Austin. They use it very frequently. Theirs can be anything from, I'm thinking of proposing this ordinance. Is there any consensus on it? I'm looking for a co-author on this. I think one of the biggest things I've heard since I've come on this council, and I think I can openly ask you up here, do you ever worry about walking quorums when you're talking about stuff?
Yes.
I think that this is an option that you wouldn't have to worry about that anymore. And I think that even more beneficial, it's a transparency tool. I've heard a lot from this council and the city about we want to become much more transparent. We want to go out for transparency awards. Something like this is very transparent. The citizens can come on here. They can read our opinions on what we have. We can upload documents that support some of our arguments. And you're required per the Texas Open Meetings Act to, after you post it, it has to be available for at least 30 days. I think that is great. And I think we do get caught up in social media these days. And I think there are those out here who, rightfully so, I'm clearly not following it, but they're fearful of social media. They don't want to be posting on there, and that may not be the best place for discourse. This online discussion board is very well controlled, and I think for some folks it's probably better and safer to put your opinions there, and it'll be captured in a trusted source on the city website where people want it to be. And like I said, each of these cities have offered to help us implement this. They each have given us potential programs. The city of Austin actually uses a free open source document. It's in the packet. I don't know how that stuff works. I trusted Stan and Dave and those folks do know. And so my recommendation is that you give this a consideration and give us this tool and see how it does.
Ms. Marion.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm fine with trying it out. I mean, ultimately, and I heard Councilor Saum saying this when I was coming back in, but ultimately, it's a choice of whether members of the council want to use it or not, right? Nobody's going to be required to use it, but yeah, I'm fine with trying it out. My preference would be to use a free board if possible. And then I also like the idea of using a form similar to the one that Austin uses. It's on in the packet. It would be page 555, and they make reference to it at the very bottom of that page, where it says we turned off the account registration feature, and instead we have an internal form that the City of Austin council members and council staff complete to request an account to post to the message board. And then they have to verify that the staff have been approved by the council member. So the only members of staff who have access to the board are those that the council approves there. And then they set up their account and give them login information. So I like the idea of using a form similar to what Austin uses. And that's really the only comments that I have. Is I'm definitely not opposed to giving it a shot.
I'm not opposed to it. It's not something I would personally use. I kind of been getting off the social sites. So it's not something I personally use, but I could see how others could benefit from it. But as long, I don't want to invest a lot of, if it takes a lot of, do you know the resource level of?
According to these staff that talked to us, it's not that labor intensive. Like once you pick the program and get set up, they've said they don't really touch it unless a council member forgets their password or something. They have to go in. Other than that, it's really just us using it.
What's the cost value behind it?
Again, if you use the Austin, they have a free program, open source one. They aren't all that way, so I think we would ask staff to investigate, what they think works best. But if Austin's willing to help us, maybe that's a low cost option.
Yeah.
Mr. Durbin, any comments? Okay. Mr. Roberts.
I think it's a great idea. I bring a lot of ordinances to council for consideration. There's a lot of things I'm passionate about, so something like this could be really useful. And equally so, if there's something pending before council, this is a good way to share one's input with the quorum of council, quite frankly, and that can help, I think, sometimes produce a more efficient or better product.
Okay. Prince?
I think it's the way it's used is either good or it's useless or it's bad. So it's in the use model as much as anything. I did look at in the examples that were provided in the packet. I spent a little bit of time looking at San Marcos and I clicked through to their system and I looked at, I think I randomly picked like 6 topics. And in all cases that I looked at, what San Marcos was doing was the mayor was the only person that ever used the board, and the mayor asked questions about some topic that was, a project that was in flight or a topic that was in their packet or whatever. So the mayor asked questions, and then somebody from the city, I don't know who it was, so maybe the city manager or some designee, answered those questions. And so, we could potentially do this in a way where it's just council talking between council members, which I think is your proposal for starting. It could also potentially be used as a way to pose questions for staff, but that could, spiral into, a lot of work for staff to respond to questions. So I'm a little bit nervous about it getting a life of its own. If it's just council talking to each other, then we don't run the risk of, maybe we experiment with that for a while and see how that goes. And then if at some point it makes sense to pull in city manager or certain members of staff to make comments or answer questions, that might be a phase 2 kind of a thing.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, Ms. Mary.
I was just going to say it might also be a way for city staff, even if they're not using the board, as far as like responding or posting things. But it might be a good way for city staff to get a heads up on what kinds of things the council might be thinking of bringing forward. So it could almost be a benefit that way, where it's like, oh, okay, I see there's a lot of support for this topic that, so and so proposed, kind of get them thinking about it. So I can almost see a benefit in that respect as well.
So my comments are, I'm in favor. I think we should investigate it and see about it. I'm with Mr. Prince. I would really like to keep it at council level, especially to start, so that we don't end up taxing staff too much. Now, I did want to comment on a couple things that were in the findings, just so everybody knows, both for this item and the previous item. Mr. Saum and Mr. Roberts brought those forward, and we just used what they brought to us wholesale, did not modify it a lick, let them develop the cover sheets and the accompanying material. And one of the things Mr. Saum said is current council practice is that council members are only able to discuss policy proposals from the dais, which does not leave enough time for deep comprehension and thorough consideration. I would disagree with that a little bit, because if items are significant, you can see we don't make a decision in one night. They get discussed multiple times over multiple meetings. There's plenty of time to deal with those. Additionally, current practice is that the mayor and city manager are able to put together agenda materials and publish them to the public before a council member who has proposed an agenda item has a chance to lay out that policy concept in their own words. Well, when they brought those forward, their stuff went into the packet. We didn't deal with it at all. Whatever their words were, they put in there. And I just want to also point out that by charter, the city manager and the mayor are required to put the agenda together. It's not that we're trying to do something to put something over on council members. If we didn't do it, we would be violating the charter. So I just want to make sure that that's really clear. The city manager and the mayor are not out to impose limitations on other council members and the initiatives that they have. I don't want that to be left with the public's in mind. And it said, thus making the published materials the initial exposure of that item and interfering with the charter design legislative process. Again, the charter dictates that the mayor and the city manager put stuff together. And I wish the wording had been a little bit different to recognize the fact that whatever you give to me, that's what I put in the packet, and we're only doing it because we're required to by the charter. Other than that, I'm in favor of this. I want to see it move forward, and I think the proposal is let's have staff look into this and come back in whatever time frame, 60, 90 days or whatever, so we can review it and make a proposal about implementing it, correct?
Sure. What's a good time frame? Asking the city manager, what's a good time frame to review it?
I'm going to ask Stan, because Stan and Dave are going to be doing a lot of the research, and I've already asked them to start on some of this.
Mr. Lee left.
He has left, yes.
He's left the building. He was going to talk about this item.
I'm going to say probably 30 to 60 days, just to make sure we have a full, but from my experience, I think 30 days would probably be enough.
Okay.
Let's give you 60, because you're supposed to be giving me a telephone system as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do have a lot on our plate, yes, but this, from my experience.
I think Chief would probably run over here, and yeah, you got a Motorola system too for him, so 60.
Am I good to make a motion?
Yeah, I'm ready. Does anybody else have any comments? Go ahead, sir.
I'd like to make a motion to provide direction to staff to give us some research and direction on how to implement an online message board and to get that back to us in 60 days.
I'll second.
Proposal for modification to the amendment to clarify an online message board for use by city council.
Correct. I'll take that. Yep.
Who's the second? You
I'll pitch this as a reason why maybe I could be. I was actually Shane's second to bring this to.
Well, that's true.
So.
That is true. Yes. So I'm going to accept Ms. Marion. So I have a motion by Mr. Saum and a second by Ms. Marion. And then they have both, you accepted the amendment made by Mr.?
Yes.
Okay. They both accepted the amendment made by Mr. Prince. Any discussion on the motion? The only one I had was Mr. Liebel, and he's left.
It's always good to just say.
Our policy is you got to put forms in ahead of time.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. If it's a public hearing, then I will let anybody speak. But if it's a non-public hearing item, they have to put in
Well, we should at least put on the record then that nobody came forward.
nobody but Mr. Liebel came forward, and Mr. Liebel has left, so I can't call on him.
Just because there's a state law that says anybody present wants to speak on any item that you're considering or taking action on should do it before you vote. So
Very good. Okay, I'll follow up with you later about any questions I have. Any discussions on the motion?
Is it our expectation that when the proposal is brought back to us, it should be implementable at that point if approved on that evening?
Clarify that a little bit. I'm
So-
not sure I understand.
What, shovel ready?
Yeah.
Like the next day, it can be up and running?
No,
Is that what you
like it's approved, like, yep, this is good, and then, it's ready to go, it's ready to be implemented.
Let me put it this way. When staff comes back with their proposal, hopefully they'll give us a recommendation about how long it'll take them. And then if we approve it, then what it means is they'll implement it in the time frame that they specified in their recommendation. Is that fair?
Yep.
Fair? Okay. So at least staff has that direction. Okay. Any further discussion on that motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Hearing none, it passes unanimous. And at